Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the North Central Washington MVP interview series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Mlsd Network. I'm your host, Carrie Horning, Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD 171. So our goal today is to introduce our community partners to each other, plain and simple. That's what we've been doing. This is our third installment and nothing's changed there. And as I do each week, I like to remind you that a win today looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work that's being done all around our communities and how you might get involved to help even. So as I say, grab your lunch, sit back and get ready for an extra dose of professional nourishment. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Joy Mcclendon. She's special education teacher, and I would argue the director of the owner of the Summit program for the Moses Lake School District, which is a program for awesome 18 to 21-year-olds. So if you join us regularly or even semi-regularly, you know that it was unplanned, but it's the most, I think, evident common thread of all of our interviewees is that they're all helpers. And I think Joy actually personifies this with every single ounce of her being. This is going to be a good one today. Joy's career has spanned 30 plus years. She's been helping others from social work to juvenile parole officer to teaching. This latest role may actually just be her biggest calling. After a short prep call with Joy, I reached out to some very specific local entities, more of our helpers, and personally invited them to join us today. There's a lot going on with our students right now, post-COVID. Joy's on the front line of it every single day. She's teaching, she's encouraging, she's counseling, and she's even saving. So something that I noticed in my communications and working with Joy was that her email tagline says, "Together we aspire, believe, connect." So each student has lifelong success. And I think with that, I say, let's get this started. Let's do exactly that. So Joy, welcome. And thank you for being our Career Connected Learning MVP today. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in. So, okay. So you said a fun fact about yourself is that you spent a summer in Texas selling mangoes. How did you get from there to social work and eventually the Summit here in Moses Lake?
Well, the smart aleck part of me would say in a car. My parents. But no, I had a relative that had flew B-52s in Moses Lake. And so I grew up in South Texas and we met people over the years. And so eventually my family moved up here. I started out really wanting to be a teacher. Actually, I wanted to be a coach. And I thought, well, then I guess I have to be a teacher. And when I went to after completing my AA at Big Bend, I went to a 4-year school and really hadn't grieved my dad's death. And so I really, really struggled. And actually, I mean, I was suicidal and I was on academic probation and just really hard time. And so I changed my major from elementary ed with a SPED emphasis and went into social work.
Wow.
And after I adopted my boys and worked in the CPS part of social work for almost 18 years, Darcy Johnson called me and said, "What are you doing?" And I thought she was punking me. And I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch. And so she and Michelle Price, I graduated from high school with Michelle,
Nice.
and they talked to me and said, "We have a need." And so I wrestled with it a little bit, but then finally, after all that time, went back to my first love. And then about a year and a half into teaching in a life skills classroom, Darcy said, "We've got this big hole of kids who are graduating or spending 5-6 years at the high school, but they're not connected anywhere. And so we have this need, this population of kids that we need to really service." And so then she said, "Will you start the program?"
Nice.
So I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're quite fond of Darcy and Michelle here at the MVP series. So it doesn't surprise me that that's where it all started. So, okay. So now you're at the Summit and I hear this a lot when I talk about it. I'm out and about in Moses Lake, which is your hometown for the Summit, for your students. What is the summit?
So the summit is an 18 to 21-year-old, I call it kind of a school to work or a transitional program. These kids have, for the most part, have spent 4 or 5 years at the high school, but need some encouragement, need some training, how to get a job, how to just that independent living. So I look at it that we're not a life skills classroom by any stretch, but we teach life skills.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Okay, so when you're talking about life skills, what's the end game? Because we hear a lot right now about soft skills and life skills that they're lacking. When we're speaking about the students that you're working with, what's the end game, and what are some of those key skills that you're working with them on?
So that answer has changed for me a little bit this year. I would say initially it was to be work ready, whether they had a job or not, that you help them learn how to interview, you help them with a resume, you help with those practical things how to ride the GTA bus around town, time management planning, those, balancing your checkbook, all that kind of stuff. This year, it's still all of that, but I really feel like the emphasis now is much more when your family is falling apart, when you all of a sudden lose housing, when you when you have a student who has a suicide plan, when big things happen, your medication's not working, all those things, how do I work through that so that I don't lose my job, I don't lose my house, I don't lose friendships, I don't lose those things, and I learn where those supports are in our communities so that I can get stronger and work through it and still be a functioning adult.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
I think that's changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the aspects that you hit in there that I kind of want to draw out a little bit is, speaking about students that maybe have a plan in mental health issues. So I am with you. We've been trying to talk more openly about mental health with Career Connected Learning and some of our guest speaker series, bringing mental health professionals into the school districts. What are you finding? What's the journey there at the summit?
I've been really blessed to have. We're in the same building. You've been here. We've been in the same building with Open Doors, and Open Doors has a school counselor that is there. So 50 steps from my office, I can go over and access Holly and say, hey, we've got this stuff going on. But my boss asked me the other day, Kay said, what do you need? And I said, at this point, I need 19 mental health counselors at the summit. And I'm going to pray that one of my 20 students is doing okay. There's just not enough services to meet their needs.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really, obviously it's excruciating to hear it. And I think that's why I made some personal invites, for this call today or for this interview. And, we'll make sure that we share this recording, far and wide, because go ahead.
I was going to just say, and the thing that I was sharing with you yesterday, it's not my boyfriend is a jerk, or I'm flunking a class, or it's drive-by shootings, and it's gang retaliations, and it's suicide plans, and it's a parent passing away, and it's these huge life things that aren't fixed with a pat on the back.
Right.
And I don't know that wasn't there before, but certainly post-COVID, it is magnified.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing that across our school districts.
Yeah.
And we've got.
I think it's across the board for people, period. But how do we empower these young people to and support them so that when the structure of school is gone, they are still standing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of our community partners that we've actually interviewed before is Renew. And I think there's a great connection there. And as we're talking, I'm feeling like, okay, we need to figure out a way to get, the crew of Renew in to speak with your students. And I could argue that some of the conversations conversations that we're having about, what your students are struggling with is across the board. And like you said, everywhere, every school district. But I feel like it just isn't spoken about enough or understood to the depth of what, how you see it every single day. Literally, like you told me yesterday, canceling classes because you were trying to help literally save one of your students.
Yeah. Well, and I will say too, I think one of those barriers can be if an agency can only see like Medicaid, state medical kids and that kind of thing, that doesn't meet the whole need.
Right.
And I think, to be able to have some group sessions, some, how do you stress management, we need to put our heads together as functioning adults and go, how do we, Kim, how do we get the kids that come to the Boys and Girls Club, give them those tools so that by the time they get here, they're established, they know how to have those supports.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a conversation like this is just where we need to start. Because to be honest with you, we've been doing the MVP series. This is our third installment. We come in, we introduce, we ask some questions. And when we have a live audience, we are able to kind of, back and forth, answer some questions and really kind of, dig a little bit deeper. But today with this conversation and the people that are on board with us, I'm really looking forward to them hearing that message and to sharing this out. And I feel like maybe at this point, it's a good time to, and it's usually a question I save for the end, but I feel like it's a really good time to talk about, you're telling us what's happening day to day in the summit and some of the tougher, issues that you're dealing with. So if somebody in our community, whether it's an individual or whether it's a community entity, if they want to get involved, what are specifically some of the most immediate needs of not only the students at the summit, but the summit itself?
A van. We need a van. We need transportation.
Okay.
That becomes a huge barrier. But I'm super grateful for GTA because we'd really be stuck without that. We are, I'm a little worried about my classroom budget. And I'm working on some things like we created a club. And so we're going to try to start like a laundry business and even have that. So some kids who graduate maybe can come back and volunteer and still be a part of something after they leave.
Nice.
But burning through your budget pretty quick when I've got a kiddo who just went into transitional housing and doesn't have much. And there were some services that got her some things, but there's bigger things and we're teaching the kids bigger things that she needs than can be provided necessarily by one place.
Yeah.
But we're trying to teach the kids how to cook. Like, I worked really hard for 5 years going, okay, let's learn how to budget and let's learn how to grocery shop, do all those things. And then realized other than Kim, our one mutual friend, most of them didn't know how to cook.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, and now we moved into a new building in May and we have a kitchen and we have like a little lounge area for them. But it's like, now they need to cook, but that money can't come out of I won't have any money by Christmas.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of practical needs that they have but there's also practical barriers to help 20 kids meet that need.
Yeah. So really, somebody, they might not have to make a donation of cash or food or et cetera. A donation of their time. If they love to cook one specific recipe, they could literally contact you, come in and say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make pumpkin bread or banana bread, or I'm going to teach you how to make mashed potatoes, whatever it is.
We mastered zucchini bread out of my garden, and the kids loved it. But there's so much community that happens when you're in the kitchen and we're doing that, and to hear the conversations and kids who aren't comfortable with that jumping in and then we make enough that some of them, whoever picked that thing then gets to take part of that home.
Nice.
Share it with their family and just trying to make those connections.
Yeah. So what's a time commitment look like? Is that a couple hours? If somebody.
It could be whatever somebody wants, really, and I love that we're under the high school, but we're off campus. I run the same schedule, the same bell schedule, but we don't have a bell.
Okay.
So if somebody says, hey, I can be here at 10 and be there at 10, I'm like, okay, I just changed the plan. And I'm like, okay,
Nice.
we'll be here at 10. And then we just do whatever we do. When we punt, and we have a saying that what happens at the summit stays at the summit.
I love that. That's good. That's good, because it is all good. So, okay, let me dial back a little bit. Let's talk about that van. If you're putting it out there that you really could use a van, I know I've seen it across my school districts that, transportation is tough. It's an issue. What's that van look like? How many seats? How many horsepowers? What are we talking about?
Okay, so we're 5.5 years old, the program, and I started with 2, and now we're at 20, and even in our new space, we're pretty full. But I think about, we try to share one van with the high school, and it just, and it's old, and they have programs where the kids are out in the community and can utilize the van more necessarily than GTA. But we have places that kids could volunteer, they could work, they could learn some experience, get some experience, and be able to put some of those things on their resume if we had a way to get them there. Yeah. And GTA doesn't, it's certainly is a blessing, but it doesn't go all the places and the time frames. And so we can burn a lot of time waiting for the next bus, and then getting there, and then waiting again, and then having a 30-minute wait at the transit center, and I think about things like the dog shelter and places like that the kids could actually, get some really hands-on tactical, this is your job. It's, we sweep, and this is, or whatever. And because my kids are employable. Yeah. But it's just trying to get them where they could go, and getting community to take a chance on that.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. We talked a little bit about that, when we had a chance to connect prior to this, saying like, just take a chance on maybe somebody that's a little bit different, that's, a little outside of your norm. So let's talk about the students and their skills. Excuse me. You said you're talking about life skills, you're teaching resume, interview skills, etc. What are some, good jobs? What would it look like, best case scenario to place all your students?
Well, okay, so I'll give you some examples. I have a couple of students who are working at Taco Bell. I have one student who is a master flipping welder. He's amazing. Awesome. out at D&L Foundry.
Nice.
I have trying to think. I have one student who works at the Grant County Humane Society. Have another kiddo that works at Beck and Call, which is like an animal, not just dogs, but like an animal sitting, like daycare. I've had kids who have worked out at Big Bend when we had a DVR partnership with Big Bend, and physical jobs out at Big Bend pre-COVID. They did maintenance, they did security, they worked in the bookstore, they worked in Sodexo. And, I have a kid who got hired at a mom and pop diner, started out just shadowing as an internship, and the owner hired him.
Yeah, nice.
So, these kids are employable, and, and like any job, we all need training. Yeah. But this, if they don't have a parent, if they don't drive, or they don't have a parent who can get them there, then you really have to work in that time frame of GTA.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I know, partnering together to get some of the students from the summit out for tours to the manufacturers. Each of the manufacturers has a different schedule that they're on for production, and GTA doesn't quite go all the way. And I know that's been a discussion that we've had, publicly, trying to work on. But, those are the things that, that's why we continue to have these conversations, to try to keep moving that needle. Right.
Well, and, something I thought of too is if those companies, if they hired some of my students, could they partner that student with somebody who'd be willing to pick them up and drive them in?
Oh, most likely, yes.
You know what I mean? If you have 25 people who are working the same shift, would there be somebody who would live close to them that, because they could do the job, they just might not have the ability to get out to do the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always an answer, right? There's always a way. You just like we said, thinking outside the box. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
just
like
saw
that.
one of your former students, Joy, at Rock Top.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's worked there for what,
At least 3
4
years.
years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
That's
I was
terrific.
thrilled to see her there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is terrific. Well, let's take a little bit of a turn and do something kind of fun. And this is usually my favorite question to ask because with this series, it runs from 12:15 to 12:45. So we know everybody is multitasking. Maybe they're eating their lunch or maybe checking some emails. But this is usually where we kind of gather and get their attention a little bit. So you have worked so many years helping so many people in so many different ways. Is there one experience or one student or one situation that has struck your soul, that stayed with you, that you could share with us?
Absolutely. That's super easy. I have a student who's been at the summit who reads at a kindergarten reading level. And we've partnered actually with the elementary schools quite a bit, helping like with jogathons and like the end of the year barbecues and all that. And we got asked to go out to Groff Elementary and Dr. Seuss Week and have our students read to all the little short guys, right? So my one student, a couple of them were like, Ms. Mack, I can't read. I can't read. I'm not comfortable. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you just go sit next to them. They're going to think it's really cool that big guys are, big kids are here. But Ms. Mack, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I finally said, I can't do it. I can't read. I said, neither can they. They're not going to know. They're not, if you make it up, they're not going to know. So we get out there and we're out there for like an hour and a half. And we walked, it's like a little over a mile and there was no sidewalk on part, and I mean, that's like where a van is very helpful, right? But we get out there, we spend an hour and a half, we walk back, and he comes bombing in my office and he's like, Miss Mack. And I'm like, we were just together. I mean, we've been together. It's like, what? And he's like, I read 4 books today. Can we go again?
Yeah.
And he was so excited, just teary excited that he read.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's why I teach.
Exactly.
That's why we do what we do. That's why we partner. We've been out to the Boys and Girls Club with Kim. We've helped at Cancer Foundation, auctions and just always looking for those places where it's just meaningful. And the kids are so proud of what they do. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah.
Other than being a mom, it's the greatest calling.
You know what? I believe it and I agree. In fact, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking we asked like, what are the greatest needs of not only the summit, but of the students? And really, it's not just about somebody coming in and giving, it's allowing them to give as well. This is definitely a two-way street. I love that this interview is happening today. We're just really, on the cusp of the giving season. And I think as we distribute and share this out, that I think what I want, my win, from this interview really would be for people to see it and to say, I could go in and cook for an hour. Or I could have them come to my facility and, read to my senior citizens or, help with this, XYZ task. I just feel like the amount of time that I've known you and we've worked together through career connected learning, that when I speak about you after I leave, or not you, but the summit after I leave, most people are asking me, what's the summit? I've never heard of the summit. What's the summit? So I feel like we'll start our own little advertising campaign here.
That'll work.
Right.
Hey, after 5.5 years, we finally got a sign. So it only goes up from here.
That's right. That's right. So, yep, let's definitely do some promoting. So okay, we're winding down a little bit. We're running about 5 minutes. And one thing that I want to check in with is there anything, and I know there's a million things. So, top 3 or just anything that you want to bring up that we haven't had a chance to discuss yet, so that we make sure that gets out.
I can't think of anything in particular. I mean, it's the, the needs are there. And you think about, for us who have kids who might go to college or, move out or whatever, what do your kids need? And I think that a lot of these kids, my students, they need that stuff. And it's not about asking people, give us money, but be invested, be involved, dare to risk walking through the door and touch base with these kids. We are looking for, I mean, I'm talking to a friend who does yoga and saying, could that be a stress management thing that we could bring in? How do I pay for that? What are we going to do? I mean, I don't know. But I know that if people really care and we get our minds together, we can come up with things. We can't fix it all, but we can do more than what we're doing. And we can, and I want these kids to know that they're worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, for sure. My husband and I, our oldest daughter just got her own place. And what you're saying, it resonates with me. I mean, from, sheets or mattress pads to spatulas. I mean, all those little things that you don't think about. Oh, wait a minute, I need a can opener if I'm going to open up a can of soup or whatever it is.
We get hygiene things and we leave them in the bathroom. So if the kids need soap, shampoo, feminine hygiene, toothbrushes, I mean, it's not complicated.
Right. Yeah.
Right. The needs are really, really practical.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're the needs that every single one of us has, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all looking for toothpaste or toothbrushes and all those things. So yeah, very good. Before we get too far in, I want to check in with our audience. Is there anyone out there that has any kind of a comment or question for Joy as we're getting ready to close things out here?
Well, I do have one thing as we were talking here. Joy, we are serving Thanksgiving dinner to all of our club kids. So if you have any Summit students that would like to participate in that, we see a lot of the same kids throughout the years. So
when are you doing it, Kim?
November 22nd, after school until 6:30.
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah. So we have each other's numbers. You can get in touch with me if you have students that would want to participate in that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and we do food handler cards with the kids too. So they all come well equipped for the task. So yeah, that'd be cool.
That's terrific. Okay. Well, we definitely are winding down on our time here. Kim, thank you for putting that out there. That's terrific too. But I feel like maybe, Joy, for you and I, a follow-up to this might be sitting down and actually creating a little bit of a wish list and putting that out there. I just feel like even with distributing the video of this interview, that might be helpful, just so somebody who wants to not have to think about it too much, but here's a quick list and, I can run to Walmart and grab these things, or I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, we'll follow up with that, but I want to personally thank everybody for coming today, especially the people that I reached out to last night to say, hey, listen, I think this is a really important conversation that's about to be had. And I think that as community partners, we can work together and maybe help them out. So anybody out there that has access to a van, definitely, wait a minute, let us know that. But we've got somebody who's just raised their hand. Leonora, would you like to say something?
I wish I had a van. I would give it to you. I don't have a van. But I work for OIC of Washington in the National Farm Worker Jobs Program, and we provide employment and training services for young adults. So I think there are definitely some things that we can offer. Not all of your participants are going to be eligible, but maybe even if we could help one or two, it could make a difference. On a personal note, I think I have some hygiene things I would like to donate, and so Joy, I'll get a hold of you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
To figure something out, and then we can maybe in that trip get you some information on our program. We'd be happy to come in and provide information. Also, you could help us think about what we can do in our program to make it more accessible to students that you have participating right now, or who maybe you've had in the past, because I can imagine that a lot of them stay in touch with you for a long time after they they're done. They're outside.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's terrific. I'll make sure that the two of you are connected as soon as this is done today. So, so listen, everybody, thank you so much for coming to the NCW MVP series, Most Valuable Partner. Joy, thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here with us. And you know what? We'll see you all next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.